When Tony Roper penned The Steamy, his play set in the 1950s washhouse, little did he know it would achieve almost overnight cult status. In 1988, STV adapted The Steamy for television, and it was an instant smash hit with viewers. 20 years on, The Steamy proves as popular as it's always done, and remains one of the best-loved STV programmes ever. But just what is it that makes The Steamy so magical?
I wrote it in 10 days. I wrote it with a ball, biro. Didn't even have the sense to write it with a pen, pencil with a rubber, so I could rub it a bit. It is as it was written, in a biro. I wrote so many pages a night, and then 10 days later it was finished. Gave it to the theatre company. They didn't like it and said, no, we won't do it. Then Wildcat came along, they did it, and it became a kind of overnight cult thing and a huge success.
Right, hurry along now, girls. The dancing's just about to start. First coach in the cloakroom, and don't forget, tonight's star prize, a glamorous weekend at the Auckland Sugar Home for all male dysentery, is there to be won. What about you, madam? Put you down for what?
If anybody's needing put June, son, it's you.
Take it that's a no.
The only thing that did worry me slightly was that I had to lose 3/4 of the play, because it's for television, so it's 50 minutes, and then you've got your commercials in between that, so the play's 2 hours, so it's really only about 40-odd minutes, and we've lost the rest of that. So, as a writer, I felt, that's a shame, but that's the way it went.
When I first came onto the Steamy, the idea was to put 3 cameras into the Pavilion Theatre and just shoot it. But the thing about the Steamy was it was meant to be packed. And the way that felt packed in the theatre was that the audience were the characters. So when we brought it into television, I thought that the best thing to do was to create new characters who would fill the place up. So I think we had about 6 or 7 speaking parts, plus about 20 extras, so the place really looked full.
The Steamy, of course, began as a stage show made by the Wildcat Company, and it was a huge success. But a lot of the success of the show depended on the interaction between the actors and the audience, the live audience. To some extent, the live audience were the other occupants of the Steamy. So, of course, in adapting it for television and doing it in the studio, we had to think of some other way of doing that. The set, for example, was quite large.
There was a huge studio in STV, and what happened was that they pulled it all down and built a complete Steamy inside. It was enormous, huge, just extraordinary. I wouldn't have thought I'd seen that anywhere else other than maybe Hollywood or something like that. It was just amazing.
The designer on it was Marius van der Werf, who had worked with her quite a lot on Taggart, and he did a fantastic job. I remember one of the tiny little details, I don't know if you really see it ever, but he had a little drinking fountain where people used to go and get a wee drink of water. And everything was like that, all the brushes and the soaps, and everything was absolute period, perfect.
Okay. So where you got the drink stashed in?
Andy, there's something wrong with the ringer.
All right, I'll away and sort it out. Do you know they're getting all the drink for Mrs. Feathers?
What drink's that, son?
I will never forget the last week after the 3 weeks rehearsal, we went to the studio, and we were just blown apart by this set, which unbelievably wonderful. Every detail was perfect.
I didn't attend rehearsals. Once I saw the set, I thought, oh, this is just tremendous. This is absolutely amazing. Film time. And I got a wee bit frightened, so I didn't stick around for rehearsals. I went on holiday.
Nowadays in drama, it's quite common just to rehearse and record and just do it all at once. But in those days, we actually had outside rehearsals. And in the case of the Steamy, because it was a 90-minute slot that we filled, we had I think 10 days rehearsal in the outside rehearsal room, and then we had 6 days in the studio, plus 1 day or 1 night for the outside broadcast unit.
The cast were, all pretty experienced, both working both in the theatre and in television. So they were used to the way in which a television show is put together, rehearsed first, and then, of course, done over period of 5 days, and sometimes, of course, not entirely in sequence. Yes, it was a challenge, but they were very professional performers, so they could handle that, I think, pretty well.
I did a lot of radio work with Tony Rooper, and I think it was through that, and he asked me to come and read the very long piece about the washing on the Glasgow Green. I remember I had to do that. I can't remember if I had to learn it or just read it. And after that, I must have got the part.
It was if they had a life of their own. I can mind that. And underneath them, the women were all moving about, laughing and joking with one another. There was never any loneliness in the own place. Nobody seemed to be lonely then.
Her imagination is allowed to just let vent a bit, and she talks about the men's shirts and the ladies' dresses and how the arms were waving in the wind, and as if they were waving to each other. There was, it's a lovely idea for it to have, and a rather romantic idea.
I'm just ready for you. You stick your head back in that stall and I'll stick it back in for you. If you think of Margaret in the Steamy, Margaret was an angry woman. So, of course, I was up there thinking, I'm not going to get this job. No chance. And I said, right, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to read it? I'll read it. Yes, certainly. And I read it. I wonder if you could try another way, maybe a little softer. Oh, I'll try it any way you like. I'm an actress, I can do what you like. Got her Teresa's eye measuring her bust. She's doing exercises for it, Caught her the other night about a week ago, and she's stood in front of the lobby mirror and got her hands out in front of her like this and whispering away to herself, I must increase my bust. I must increase my bust. A bigger size is the prize for doing this bloody exercise. I nearly wet myself,
The musical numbers, of course, had to be pre-recorded. And then when we were in the studio, the actors mimed to them. And there was a lot of additional choreography in the television version, when they all came together in a kind of chorus and moved around almost in a balletic way. All that had to be worked out in detail beforehand.
I tried to do something different with each song. Some of them were, and one was done in black and white, and then Pals, of course. That was the first time I'd ever done an effect where we actually had a shot of Sheila Donald as Mrs. Kilfeathers, and then technically we actually made her get younger, and then the camera spun round and then was into the song, and it became like a Hollywood musical. It was really good. I quite liked that one.
When you've got pals. When you've got pals. It was, we did it all, what we call homo singing, Ho, hey, ho, 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 ho. It was all that kind of stuff we did. And Denison, circa 1953.
The music, it was such an important part of the Steamy, I think. It just, fortunately, I didn't have to sing because I am the world's worst singer.
We had quite a number of songs in the piece, and one of them was Isn't It Wonderful to Be a Woman, which Dorothy Paul sang on the stage. But Tony and I felt that the way we should treat that song would be to treat it as a speech. So Dorothy really wanted to do the song, but she had to give in. with Tony and Ayata. So it came to the moment of doing the speech, and how we did it was we just had a shot of Dorothy doing the whole, it was about 4 minutes, I think. And at the very end, she's got a line that turned out like him. At that point, the camera went jump and catch Peter Mullen, who was the boilerman. And for the poor cameraman, there he is, there, the very man, same man, Alan, he had to wait for 4 minutes, thinking, because at the end of this, I've got to do that, and if I miss her, she'll have to do it all again. But good, he did it perfectly the first time.
The man that was going to make you the happiest woman in the world. What does he look like? That. I had to learn it, and it was slightly different to the song, because you've got this very complicated song in your head, and then you've got to transfer it. And some of the lines are there, and I thought, they'll be lucky if I do this, and I wonder, because when you see the Steamy, you'll notice it's a big, big speech at the end, talking about being a woman. And, I did it in a one. I got a round of applause from the crew. Thrilled to bits. Oh.
The first transmission was a huge success. I mean, I suppose one could say that it's been one of the most popular television drama shows ever made in Scotland.
The reaction was just tremendous. And I was just staggered. I mean, even for me, the telephone rang all night after it.
It's now got into the kind of iconic, I don't know, it's like some old pot boiler that comes around every so often, but it's lovely for me. It's a thing that I never ever thought would happen to me. It's never happened for me since. I've written a lot of other stuff since that, but nothing that's had the kind of appeal that that's had. So I don't know where it came from. I've got all to thank my old mother for. She's dead up there looking at me there, I think, or down there, I'm not quite sure, not be up there.
It's a wonderful mixture of so many things. There's humour.
He'll never get home in that state.
How are we going to get him past the front door?
Aye, supposed to look up as well.
Aye, right enough.
Come on, Andy.
Andy,
Andy, get up, son. Get some home with you, Tony. You'll let you get up. Come on there. Get on there, Tony.
Well, Dixie.
Turn on the cold water, Margaret. Oh, aye. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. What?
But enough to drink, I don't want it.
And there's also great pathos. It's a great lament for a lost world in some ways.
This'll save me washing my feet tonight. Good. Barely gets the dirt out of them, eh?
But your feet?
No, the blankets.
It's a historical document. I mean, it tells what it was like, absolutely, as it was. I know because I was that child that went with my mammy to the Steamy. And so it was Tony Roper who wrote it.
Dolly, I'm not wanting to let Margaret do it. I still think it's the mince.
I still get people that I don't know and they'll look at me and say, "Are you still taking Galloway's mince?"
Writing it was great fun, because there was no onus on me. I'd never written in my life before, never written a thing before, so it was great. I didn't know I could do it. In fact, I'm still not sure if I can or not.
Night, Andy. Happy New Year when it comes.
Oh.
For a while, I couldn't watch the Steamy because it was almost too close. But now, I have seen it over the last 10 years, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it again.
Sit back and relax. It's not the 1 o'clock, gang. It's